Hi everybody. Due to the great response of last week's video, I thought I would also share another trick that I do with an oscillator, and this time with a snare. When you don't have a snare bottom, or you want to help your snare, you want to have some high-end definition brush type sound but really clean with no mic bleeding, you can take an oscillator, and this time instead of using a tone, you can use a pink noise or a white noise and trigger that pretty much like we did with the bass drum. That trick has been used in the studio for years, so you probably heard that trick on record many times without knowing, and now you will be able to do that live. I'm gonna use a Behringer wing today, but you can pretty much do this trick on every type of console. I forgot to mention in the other video, you can use your phone and just find a tone generator app or a pink noise generator app and send that into the console. I mean, you can even do that analog if you have a tone generator or a pink noise generator from a laptop, a phone, whatever you can have that source of signal coming from. First, let me explain the idea behind this trick. So you can fake a snare bottom mic in a really clean one because it won't have bleeding from the hi-hat or from the bass drum, because a real snare bottom mic is physically placed in those areas between the beater of the bass drum and the hi-hat. You probably want something that is really clean, snappy, that will give you that great psh. And we're gonna fake here the cleanest snare bottom that you can ever have. So I'm gonna use my channel 24 here. This is an oscillator. Actually, I need to change this for a pink noise. I prefer pink noise over white noise. I feel that they are less aggressive. If you prefer a white noise to have the desired effect that we're gonna create here, go ahead and do that. As you can see now, we have our pink noise generator sending signal to the channel. We can see it here in the EQ. And the first thing in my signal chain is a gate, because I don't want that signal to be on all the time. Because if you have that signal on all the time, it's gonna sound like this. And this is not something that we want to have running in our mix all the time. Trust me. What we want to do is sending out small bursts of signal, small burst of pink noise. First, let me give you an example of how it sounds with just the snare used here as a key source for our gate. So what that means is, if I set my channel 2, which is my snare for my playback recording, to open up the gate for me, every time we have a snare hit, the gate will open and it will let some pink noise go through. The setting on the gate here are really important, because the attack, the hold, and the release will determine the shape of the signal that we are creating. If the attack is really fast, the hold is also really fast, and the release is really fast, it will just go like that. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be pleasant to add to our mix. But if we go something like, I'm trying out number here. Hold 50 millisecond, attack 1, release 100. Let's start with that and see how it sounds if I enable my snare from channel 2. If I let that snare trigger that gate, I want to listen to what we have here. So I want to make sure that, yes, this channel is on mute, and I'm going to press play. This is the signal that we are creating. Right now you go like, this is not really pleasant, it's not really fun. If I had the snare to that, I'm gonna push it so you guys can hear it really well. Can you hear it sounds kinda like a snare bottom, but the effect is not totally there. What we want to do to have that pink noise feel more real is we want to send it into a reverb. This is how you will get a way more natural sound. And we're gonna add here, we're gonna insert a reverb on that channel. If you cannot insert a reverb on your console, you can just send that signal into the reverb. And personally, I prefer to have the pink noise only going into the reverb, not to the main. But it's up to you at that point if you like to have a bit of the dry white noise and then going into the reverse. It's up to you. But for now, we're gonna create a new effect here. I'm gonna create a new reverb, and I think Vintage Room here will be a good start. Now let's listen with the Vintage Room on it. I'm gonna take out the real snare just for a second. Well, actually, I'm gonna leave it just behind a bit so you can hear it. I feel that the pre-delay on this is too long, so I'm gonna try to cut this down. It feels way more direct because there's no pre-delay right now. Pre-delay set to 0, and I think I want to play around with the gate. Around 100 seemed nice. Hold pretty much at 0. So it's just, the gate is opening up and closing immediately over 105 milliseconds. If I blend back the snare in, the real one, we pretty much have it there. You can bring it down just a little bit, but I want you to listen to something. The fact that we have our snare going into a stereo reverb, our snare is now stereo. I can, in my headphone, hear that it's wider than just the snare by itself. Let me play another example for you. I'm gonna take the oscillator down. So that's just the snare. And I'm gonna slowly raise up the oscillator. Can you hear it now? I'm gonna exaggerate it. Can you feel how bigger is our snare? Not in the low end, but in the stereo spectrum, that snare will feel bigger live for sure. I will give you the same recommendation as I did on my bass drum trick. This is something really cool that you can do, but you should not abuse it. You probably want to use it just enough so you can feel that the snare is now bigger, more stereo feel like, but you don't want to have it in your face. This is something that should be subtle, but this is the kind of stuff that will help your mix sound better. If you like that video, give it a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel and you want to see more trick like that or more stuff about the wing, subscribe to the channel. Until the next one, please take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys later.